Hello, welcome to the Adventist Healthcare New podcast. We're back with our first episode in 2024. I'm Nimit, and I'm joined with Shanna.
Hello.
Hey, Shanna, how are you doing?
I'm good.
And we are excited today to have Dr. Ogechi Enyuku, who has been to our podcast before. She's a primary care physician.
Welcome, Dr. Enyuku.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming back.
Oh, I love it with you guys.
Oh, thank you. We love it when you come back too.
So, being the beginning of the year, I think it's a great time to talk about New Year's resolution, reflect back at our old resolutions. Shanna, do you remember what your old resolution was or last year's resolution was?
I do, and I am going to have a moment of vulnerability here and admit that I did not achieve my resolution. I believe it was to be more physically active. And I tried. I gave it a good faith effort for a couple months and got out of the routine.
I think most people don't fulfill their resolution.
Yeah, it even took me a while to even get started. And then I did really well. And then life happened and I was not able to sustain the change. So maybe Dr. Enyuku will have some tips for me.
You know what? That's okay. It's a new year.
Yes, that's true. I like that. That's a good attitude. It's a new year. What was yours, Nimit? Do you remember?
I now remember. It's spending more time with my family and having a better work-life balance. And I was able to spend a lot of time with my family. My baby finally recognizes who I am instead of just being another person in the household.
Okay, that's progress.
I know. So I'll take that. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited to create new resolutions for this year.
Yes. Dr. Enyuku, did you have any resolutions or do you like to start the year with a resolution?
I do. And, I think this year, my resolution is just to get more sleep. We're all so busy with the kids and just work. Sometimes I can slip even though it's so important. And I think I'm just going to kind of make a small little goal of an extra hour and just kind of work my bedtime back by 15 minutes every, couple of weeks or something like that. But I think getting better sleep and more quality sleep is my goal for this year.
That's good. My goal for this year is, and I'm hoping this actually spurs me to better action than last year's goal, is to be more intentional with my time with my family, my time with friends, my time with work, my time with my health, and just be more focused versus trying to do all things all the time.
I think that's a great goal.
That's great.
Yeah.
My goal this year is to eat out less or order in less. Last year, I made a mindful effort of eating out less, but I think what ended up happening was we were just ordering in. So I think this year, my goal is to not order in either. And, it's cheaper to make your own food.
Healthier too. It's healthier.
To eat in. And I'm not going to tell anybody that I had Thai food 2 nights ago, but that's okay.
Hey, nothing wrong with Thai food.
I know,
I like that.
So it's not the best travel resolution, but that's my hope for this year.
Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Enyuku, do you get asked about resolutions a lot from your patients, or does this come up, at this time of year when you're meeting and seeing patients?
Yeah, I get asked by my patients, by my family members, by friends, and the kinds of questions kind of vary. Some people ask if it's even worth it to make a New Year's resolution. Some people want to know what types of resolutions they should make. And then they'll ask me what my resolutions, if I make resolutions at all. But yeah, I do get that question quite a bit.
A lot of people make resolutions. It's a new year. It's a new beginning. It feels fresh. I wasn't able to keep mine. Obviously Nimit was successful in his, but I do feel like it's really hard for some people. What should we be looking at making? How can we keep them and stay motivated? What's a healthy way to make resolutions?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think resolutions and goals are great because they do kind of set you on a path of making good choices. And in general, that's what you want a goal or a resolution to be. You want it to be something that improves your life, adds value to your life. So I would say start small, make a small goal so that it's much easier for you to achieve that goal. And then you get less frustrations along the way. One of the acronyms that I like to use whenever I'm making a goal is SMART. And that stands for The S in the SMART stands for specific. So making a specific goal. So I'm going to use the example of weight loss. So some people will just say, yeah, I'm going to lose some weight this year, but it should be specific. Say I want to lose either 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, whatever it may be. Make it a very specific goal. The M in SMART stands for measurable. And you want it to be something that you can measure so that along the way, as you're going through the process, you can kind of see if you're on track to achieving your goal or kind of just where you are. So again, with weight loss, you're able to weigh yourself every week or every 2 weeks, whatever it is, so that you can kind of see what your trajectory is. The A in SMART stands for achievable. While you want to have goals that can stretch you and kind of challenge you, you want to make sure that it is something that you can achieve. So nothing that's too lofty. And if you do want to have lofty goals, you should set small goals in the interim until you achieve that lofty goal. And then the R in SMART stands for relatable or relevant. So it should be a goal that is relevant to your life and not something that's relevant to somebody else. You know, some people see their friends and they say, oh, my friends are losing, or they want to lose 20 pounds. I should lose 20 pounds too. That may not be relevant for you. Maybe you only need to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds. So just taking inventory of your life and your needs and figuring out what makes sense for you. And then the T in SMART stands for timely. So you want to have your goals time bound. So that is, if I have a weight loss goal, that goal should be in maybe 2 months or 1 month. So I want to lose 10 pounds in 2 months. That gives you a nice time frame for you to be able to, you know, challenge yourself so that you can reach your goal in a good, timely manner.
I like that. I also like what you said earlier, which is, you know, resolutions or goals should be things that add to your life. And I really love that because it versus, you know, the weight loss or this or that, it, you know, that's like, oh, I'm going to deny myself or, oh, but reframing it as I'm doing, you know, I want to add to my health. I want to focus on my health and make it better versus denying myself something. I feel like that's a mindset change for some people. It definitely, that struck me as a really nice saying.
Yeah, and I think I like the acronym that you shared because it makes the subjective version of like this big thing you're trying to achieve into like smaller segments and making an objective version of it, right? Because people say I want to lose weight, like, okay, what does that mean? How, what timeline, how much? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to measure it and track it? So I think all that matters a lot. So I think by having a structure to it helps people keep their resolution for the new year.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, people say that they want to get healthier as one of their New Year's resolution, you know, whether it be going to the gym or walking an extra mile each day. What are some of the things that people could do to be healthier this year?
So, you know, I think visiting your primary care provider every year is a really important kind of baseline because you can get your baseline status. We always talk about knowing your numbers. So whenever you see your provider for your annual physical, you'll know what your blood pressure is. You will get to check your cholesterol and see what your blood sugar is if you're at risk for developing diabetes. So I think it's important to see your provider so that you can kind of have that information and then also just talk about any recommended health screenings that you may need. Some things that I find really important that I discuss with my patients at their annual physical are kind of 5 big areas. And, you know, it's easy to remember because you've got 5 fingers on one hand. So, you know, I always talk about their diet. So making sure that everybody's eating a nice, balanced, healthy diet. You want to eat the rainbow. There's 7 colors in the rainbow. And as long as on most days of the week, you're eating something from, you know, several of those different colors, you should be good to go because that is really more so of a plant-based diet. So you see all those colors in nature. So, you know, the reds, the orange, the green, you know, that can be fruits, vegetables, or all of those colors. So eat the rainbow. I also talk about exercise. So extremely important to lead a very active life. You know, we recommend moderate exercise of at least 150 minutes per week. So just finding ways that on most days of the week that you can do something that's active. So taking a walk, it could be cycling, whatever it is that makes you feel good while you're doing it is important. And then also, you know, I talk a lot about mental health. So that's a big issue. And especially since the pandemic, that has become even more of a big issue. So I talk to my patients a lot about their mental health.
Yeah.
And also about stress management. What ways can you relieve your stress? What outlets do you have? And then sleep. Sleep is so important, which is my
Your resolution. Yep.
So, making sure we're getting adequate sleep is so important to our overall health.
Those are all really good tips. I love the sleep and the mental health and just small things to get you moving toward just an overall healthier lifestyle. What are some recommended screenings or other things that we can do throughout the year that we might not be thinking about to be taking our health more serious or be healthier?
Yeah, so for most women at around the age of 40, we recommend breast cancer screening, and that can vary based on your family history and your personal history. For colorectal cancer, for the general population, we recommend screening at the age of 45. And again, depending on what your medical history is and your family history, that age can also change and it can be earlier. And generally, colon cancer screenings with colonoscopies are every 10 years. But then, of course, that can change depending on the results of your initial colonoscopy. We generally recommend lung cancer screening in patients who have smoked for several years. And that can be between the ages of 50 to 55. And that actually depends on your insurance, how early you can do it. And then prostate cancer screening for men. Some populations we start a little bit earlier at age 40. And then other populations can kind of push that out a little bit later as well. We recommend skin cancer screenings as well as vaccinations. So, we have COVID, we have flu, we have tetanus vaccines, and then we have the more age-related vaccines like pneumonia shots and also related to any conditions you may have prior to. And then shingles vaccines in patients who are 50 years or older. And then now we have the RSV vaccine in the very young and then in the elderly population.
And this is all just to, prevention, catch it early, promoting that, just taking your health. It's not the number on the scale. Sometimes it's your total health, right? And your family history and just trying to stay up to date on some of these things is really important and goes a long way toward just having a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, I think having that annual physical is beneficial to, have this too, because, not many people remember when the screenings are, right? Because, guidelines change so often and there's so much to keep track of. I may not remember some of these things, just so much to keep track of.
Yeah.
But just having that relationship with the provider and at least making that at least once a year visit, and talking about those things is crucial too.
Agreed. Yeah.
Dr. Anyika, you mentioned stress management and mental health earlier. What are some of the things that people could do to, either avoid stress or if they are stressed to decrease some of their stressors?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can never avoid stress, but definitely we can alleviate stress.
Yeah.
So this can be so simple. This can be just taking a walk outside. Being in nature is so important and actually very beneficial for our mental health and just our overall well-being. Exercise is another way to relieve stress and just, again, for your overall physical health. Sleeping well that we talked about, that's important. Journaling can be something that somebody likes to do, meditation, prayer, just even listening to music or dance. You just want an outlet to be able to express your emotions and to really also kind of evaluate your emotions. And of course, I just want to make sure I mention that if you try these examples and you just don't feel like you're getting where you need to, or you feel like it's just, a little bit more overwhelming than what you can handle, absolutely you want to reach out to your primary care provider because they can offer you several different resources to help you with your mental health struggles.
That's a good tip. And, stress affects your physical health so much too. And so if you're struggling and you're not finding a way to kind of manage it, talking to your doctor or looking for some of those ways that you talked about is really important to even just helping your physical health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think a lot of things you mentioned, Dr. Anyika, are like very simple and basic things that people could do, going for a walk in the park or getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. And, people may not do it because they're like, well, that's just so simple. It's not going to avoid my stress. But I think, they just may want to give it a try to see if it works for them. Because I tried walking this past summer, for like a mile, 2 miles after work for like about a couple of months when it was nice out. And it made wonders, created such a big difference and just helped me relax in life. And just to add an extra thing in my day's routine was like so helpful.
Well, I think it's important to say too that not everybody has the time or has access to some of these things. And so I think that makes it more difficult to understand. But I think you gave a couple examples that people could even, as you said earlier, even like really small things. So even if it's only, 20 minutes once a week, it's a start. And so, and maybe that's something for people to take on and or to hang on to is even if it's small, it's still important.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've talked about seeing a doctor, talking with your doctor, getting a baseline. If you don't have a primary care doctor, and there's actually quite a few people out there that don't realize they need to have that relationship or just haven't found the right one, is it important to get one this year?
Yeah, I absolutely think that it is. Like I said, just having somebody that you can talk to about your health, where you are, what your risks may be, according to what your lifestyle is like, what your family history is. You can develop a plan with your provider to prevent any diseases from developing. If you do have any chronic issues, you can develop a plan to kind of mitigate or slow the process. So it's really important to have a provider, somebody else to kind of take a look at what's going on, what you're doing in your life, and just find ways to optimize your life so that you can have a very fulfilled and healthy life.
That's great. What is one tip for our listeners you want to give for a happy, healthy life?
I think it's important to just be kind to yourself and give yourself grace. I think a lot of times the pressures that we feel, we put them on ourselves and we don't necessarily need to. And when we do that, we kind of give ourselves a little bit of breathing room when we give ourselves some grace. And when we can do that, we can extend that grace and kindness to the people around us.
I love that.
I was almost certain you were going to say sleep, which is also important.
No, I like that. Yes, we all need a little grace and extend that grace to other people as well. I like that. Well, thank you, Dr. Enoku, for these wonderful tips and for always partnering with us and being a part of Adventist Healthcare. If you all would like to find Dr. Enoku, visit adventisthealthcare.com, click on Find a Doctor. We'll also include links to her information in the show notes. And we're going to try something new this year. We would love to hear from you, our listeners this year. You can let us know if you like the podcast by leaving a review, or you can email podcast@adventisthealthcare.com and let us know what healthcare topics you want to know more about. To learn more about Adventist Healthcare, visit adventisthealthcare.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you can get new episodes. Thank you, Nimit, as always, for joining.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to the next one and the rest of this year. Thank you, Dr. Enoku, for coming on. And thank you to all of our listeners. Be well.